Saturday. It's been Saturday. I keep calling. Does nothing ever work? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There's something in the air. There's something in the air. Just came to rock the show, can lose party. There's nothing over there. I take a shot at the Hennessy and think about all the new played against me. Was it divine in the victory that made the whole ability connect? Them got weight on their shoulder, see the pressure on my chest. But I see the readers, wants and needs. Dysfunction of family, put me under the ski. Don't know what I mean. A black American, ghetto dreams. Together just to be great on a triple B. Them start an empire with just one feet. But when they do bring corruption amongst your feet, them always gonna fall when they follow a fool lead. You ask if it's a God, do I believe? But do I only got the faith? And the things that I see like the crack fade. Regulated teens, little girls wanted to breathe before they could read. You see the blocks that is on this previous crime scene. But I'm on one. There's something in the air. There's something in the air. I'm on one. Does nothing ever work? Does nothing ever work? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There's something in the air. There's something in the air. We just came to rock the show, can lose party. There's nothing over there. Illuminated and people begin to strong love. And it's the officer the following his own laws. Close to town, close to the physical harm. Why you trying to get your mind done? That will be mine. I just started everything from the Bible to the Quran. And still got time to decipher what Bible wrong. Don't believe in love, so screw my women's plan. Like James Bond when I throw out the charm. Say, I'm on one. There's something in the air. There's something in the air, air, air. I'm on one. Does nothing ever work? Work, work, work. I'm on one. In the air. Something in the air.
Greetings and salutations. We are back, and guess what? We figured it out, and I'm gonna make sure we get that video off from Chase. That video off this evening from Chase Hughes. I'm your host Talib, and I just want to let you know I'm glad to be here with you guys. I'm gonna do my best to start coming in frequently. I'm gonna try to do a stream at least once a day, every day, as often and frequently as I can to motivate the algorithm to get this out to as many people as possible. I want to say, if you're listening, go check out Peach Entertainment. Go check out Maybach Mail 1804. Their channel's incredible. Peach got the check-in. It's every Sunday. It's great. She have topics, bro, that a lot of people not talking about. She's original. Her and T over there they got a great combination, and I really enjoy listening to their podcast on Sundays with the check-in. Sometimes I even jump on there. It's a great show. I really would suggest that you go check it out. But I'm Talib, and I am a mental modalist. I study hypnotism and the power of the mind and the various elements that causes us to function a certain way. So, but I also did very deeply into what some of the psychological things and aspects that are being done and how it translates into, say, Hollywood, into social media, into influencers and various people out there that's doing certain things. And we got a treat for you. Now, when I go to try to show you a video from somebody, I'm going to always do my best to make sure that they are bringing information that is informative, something that you can actually take, demonstrate, attempt to use, and cultivate, opposed to something that participates in tribalism and reinforces a belief system in which you were powerless. So I want to share this video from Chase Hughes because I want to get into what we're looking at right now. And I also want to share another video I found from a content creator that delves very deeply into NLP and also pulls out some really great points. Right now, people are talking a lot of life coaching stuff, and a lot of I'm really happy to see so many people taking that path. But at the same time, we have to also realize that there are three elements that when used, anyone can use these three elements. And when they successfully use these elements, you will follow them. You will be in hypnotic suggestibility by whatever they present to you. And they don't have to be that intelligible. They don't have to be smart. They don't have to be somebody of great wisdom. So let's just get into this video and we're going to break it down piece by piece. This one is wild. So let's just check this out, guys.
Going to make this public, and it's not because it's dangerous in the cartoon way that people imagine. It's because once you see this, you will stop experiencing the world the same way. This thing that we're going to talk about right here is the system that I use to spot psychological operations before they fully land. I've used this tool privately for years with some powerful organizations in research and consulting, and these are rooms where outcomes matter big time. What's happened recently is the environment has totally changed. The speed of everything has changed, the scale of these operations has changed, and the cost of being late to PsyOps has got a lot higher. I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'm going to show you what to watch. Without any conspiracy obsession, it's just being literate in today's world. And once you have that, you're going to stop being surprised by the things that are very structurally obvious here. So if you stay to the end of this video, you're going to have a working framework that lets you look at news and crises and emergencies a lot differently. So let's walk through this system to predict engineered reality.
The internet is the biggest wealth creation engine to ever exist. Sadly, only a relative.
The system is simple. Where's the pressure coming from? Is it being seeded from something? How likely is influence? What phase is it in? And how are people being nudged?
This is the critical. This is very important to. He's laying a groundwork, a texture here to something that's very important, because right now I want you to notice our tendencies to focus on what we think is happening, that just the surface of the story itself, and not the underlying aspects and what that story motivates, right? And this is what's crucial. So I'm not gonna do one of those things where we stop every 2 seconds to jump in. But I did want to lay the groundwork for that, and we will come back in a little bit just to get a little deeper into that.
So first, you don't predict events. You predict pressure. Events are just how pressure resolves itself. So if you're focused on dates and timelines and headlines, you're always going to be late. If you're focused on where pressure is accumulating, you're going to be early by default. So phase one of this tool is where the hell is the pressure coming from? And this is called the SORM tool. First is the S in SORM. This is societal. This is when we see a moral panic, an us versus them language obsession, maybe a sudden obsession with who is safe or dangerous or misinformed. That is pressure building. So the next one is operational. This is when you see drills being played out and simulations of things being mapped out way before an event actually happens, or maybe there's some military or cyber or infrastructure exercises that are
Now notice, this is crucial. Notice what he just said, right? We've been seeing all of these things play out, right? They have been running cyber drills, security drills, right? Military drills, right? There's a big, massive buildup on the sea of military running drills. And when they want to threaten each other, they do drills in front of each other's faces. And right now, that's at an all-time high, right? They're pushing this immigration on us hard, right? They're pushing it on us hard, and they're pushing it in a narrative direction. Are you paying attention to the narrative direction they're driving this in? Let's get back to what he's saying.
taking place. I don't think they're proof of anything on their own, but they tell you that the chessboard is being set up. So next is regulatory. Whenever regulation appears before a crisis peaks, you're not looking at some reaction. That is absolute preparation there. And next we have alignment. This is the
Keep in mind with the preparation. I have to say this because I'm not going. I need to say this because this is very important. Think about this: when they had those 6 feet distancing, and they had those mats in every store, it was almost like they already knew what was about to happen or what was already coming. When you look at that time and how many things were already set up, how many rules, things that didn't need any deliberation, didn't need any consideration or thought or kind of council or committee to come together to see the viability of it, it was already there. And look at where they're pushing us today. Let's get back to it.
in Sorum. When government, media, tech platforms, academia, and NGOs suddenly agree fast, you're not seeing consensus between all these things. You're seeing coordination. And then we have the M in Sorum, the media. Same phrases, same metaphors, the same emotional tone across platforms. So when language suddenly becomes really uniform, you are witnessing pressure being shaped. So that 5-part scan is called Sorum. So if multiple domains here light up at the same time, you're not watching some coincidence happen. Then you move to phase 2. Is it being seeded? So what we're doing here is called the PRISM model, PRISM, P, which stands for precursor anomalies. These are weird simulations, tabletop exercises that you might see some government organization do, or maybe a scientific or medical study that feels oddly timed. These are usually rehearsals, and they create familiarity before the fear ever arrives. And then we have the R, and this stands for repetition cycles. When some phrases show up everywhere, disinformation, safety, protect democracy. We see these little slogans start showing up all over the place. Repetition builds acceptance in the human brain, and we know this. Then we have the I in PRISM, and this is introduced villains. Who is the problem?
The repetition, he's nailing it. Everything he's saying, I suggest that you go back, you write some of this stuff down, you go look it up for yourself. None of this is make-believe, none of this is made up, none of this is jumping out of nowhere. What you have to understand is, along with repetition, there's something called association. This is the law of association and the law of repetition. When it gets you to itself, it's what Pavlov did with the association and repetition, right? Where he would ring the bell, feed the dog. Dog associates the ringing of the bell with food. That association is built through the repetition, but there must be an association. So what are they trying to associate us with through their repetition? This is critical that people step back now and we all start really, really using our critical mind, critical thinking skills to really start looking at what's happening. Because what's happening right now is a ploy, an emotional grasp to get a reaction, but not just any action, a very calculated reaction that will inevitably lead to a series of laws and conformities that at the end of the day, we're probably not going to really have much choice about because of the amount of pressure and the amount of anxiety and loss of goods and services and way of life that's going to cause people to make certain decisions out of that fear, out of being in a hypersuggestible state. And we'll go over that hypersuggestibility, how that actually works, how they play with your fight or flight, how they put you in states of awe, how they can bypass your critical mind through overloading your sensories, right? So let's just get back to this. I just had to leave it, put in there that you have to put, when you use the law of repetition, you must also remember there's the law of association. And in hypnosis, one of the repetitions and laws of hypnosis in this is deep sleep. Every time I suggest the words deep sleep to you, each and every time I say the words deep sleep to you, right? You're going deep and deeper and deeper, right? We use words over and over again, but these words create an association because you're familiar with them and they mean something in the subconscious realm of understanding. So let's continue on.
Maybe it's a group or a profession or a belief system or a nationality. Villains simplify super complex systems into something that is emotionally manageable for us. And then we have the S in PRISM. This is symbolism injection. The colors, the hashtag, the badges. It's like the branding was designed months in advance before an event happened. Symbols bypass thinking and go straight to identity. And then we get into the M of PRISM. And this is manufactured urgency. There's no on-ramp, there's no debate window. It's just we have to act right now. Urgency shuts down analysis in the human brain without ever saying, don't think. So the PRISM tool serves as a warning light. So if I have 3 or more that are like above a 7.5 out of 10, that's a big deal.
Scribe is how you stop explaining the same thing over and over at work. Watch this. It'll change your life. Raise your hand.
So now we move into phase 3. How likely is a PSYOP? Phase 3 has 2 sections, and this is NARCS and then PPI, the PSYOPs Probability Index. What we're really looking at is probability. So we're going to score 5 variables, and this is the NARCS system. This is the next step. So the N is narrative volatility. So how extreme is the language? How emotionally charged is the language? And how mimetic is it? A is authority involvement. Experts, officials, politicians.
Here's another thing that we're seeing right now with this language, with the intent of the language to make us feel a sense of urgency. Now you're finding more people coming out and more people saying things like, we can't wait till November. We have to do something now, right? You have to even wonder if some of these people are. But at the end of the day, this is the energy that's being pushed. This is the language. And this is definitely going, whether you, and let me tell you something about suggestibility. You know, I was watching a show with someone I really like. It's the Deconstruction Zone with Justin, you know, and he was, you know, he does the atheist debates and things. And I really like how he thinks and formulates information. And it's just a little change sometimes, and I like listening to it here and there. But here's what I found very interesting, right? He was saying, and this is what I laughed, because it's like, okay, this makes total sense, right? He was speaking to someone and he was talking about hypnotism, how he can't be hypnotized. And, you know, some people are just sort of gullible and can be hypnotized, and he's not suggestible. And I laughed to myself and I go, wow, he's one of the most highly suggestible people. The people who think they aren't suggestible are highly suggestible, and they're what they call intellectuals. Okay? They are the intellectual, and they're far on the emotional scale of when we look at hypnotherapy and things of this nature. You have the physical, and this just me and emotional, and these types of categories only define how we take information in. A physical person is someone who uses more literal understanding, right? And an emotional person is someone who learned through inference. So they learned from not direct, indirect, right? A physical person who grew up with a parent, what made them physical is their parent would tell them to do something and there was no wiggle room, right? You do it, you got to do what I say, you do it. A person who grew up under the emotional is someone who's going to do your homework. Do I have to do it right now? Listen, I don't want to deal with this. When I come back in here, this work better be done. So they learn and pick up that things don't always mean what they just say, that there's more meaning behind words, right? And when you understand that, and then you communicate this, then you can sculpt language to a person like that, and they will receive that information. So this is very critical to understand, okay? Look at how they are forming and constructing their narrative right now, okay? Listen to the language. And another thing we'll go over is their elements that they use to assure that you have conformity. But my point was, it's the people that say, I'm not suggestible, they can't do anything to me, I'm not brainwashed. This is the people that's highly suggestible to these influences, right? And the reason it don't seem like it works for them is because they come across, they have to be the one that do it. And the way this stuff is set up, they can be the one to do it. So they can believe that they're doing this on their own, but in actuality, they've been given a set of information to lull them into a suggestible state to affect or change their belief system. So let's get back to this.
Uniforms, celebrities, the more authority that's involved, the less organic it usually is. And then we have the R in narcs. And this is a repeat historical analog. So does this look familiar? Is it the same language? Are we following the same structure from something we know worked on human beings in the past? Is there some same emotional arc as a past campaign? History doesn't always repeat, but influence strategies absolutely do. And then we have the C in narcs, and this is for cognitive load. How exhausted is the public already? Super tired populations are easier to steer. And then we have the S, sentiment inversion. So what you want to ask yourself here are values being flipped, questions becoming harmful, silence becoming violence. Super compliant people become virtuous, or they're shown to be virtuous. That flip is a massive tell. If you average those, then you get a PPI score, a PSYOPs probability index. So a high PPI doesn't mean evil masterminds. It means that conditions are very ripe and intention is very likely. You have to understand what comes next. You need to be able to predict the next phase. It's just prediction. So it's not events, it's just moves. What's the next move that's going to happen? And this spells out the word trap in. This is the trap in analysis tool. The T is for tension. This is fear, uncertainty, models, forecasts made to make you scared. Then you have the letter R, which is rally. Big, weird calls to action that seem different than they were before. Then you'll see A, the letter A, which is authority. Celebrities, politicians, experts, rules, enforcement, and biggest of all in this one is censorship. And the next step that we need to look out for is the P phase, which is polarization. We're sorting people out based on their virtues or their morals. Good people.
And that's where we're at. We're in the P phase. We're sorting people out based on their virtues and morals. Now, you know, more than ever, people are starting to lean back into religious belief systems heavier than before, and people are clicking up, and families aren't together anymore. And you can see this polarization happening as we speak. We know that America suffers from chronic fatigue syndrome because as Americans, and especially as Black American, or really actually as an indigenous Aboriginal American, right? We've been suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome for quite some time. For our nervous systems never have a chance to actually adjust and settle and get normalized. And when you do that to individuals constantly, you know, you keep them in a hypersuggestible state. And in that hypersuggestible state, whether they're aware of it or not, it bypasses the critical mind. And then it's like, well, I need an answer. And the first person that comes in that offers you reason and logic, no matter how ridiculous, it could be translogic. Translogic is just a fancy way of saying bullshit. But once your mind gets that and it checks that box of reason and logic, you will accept it. No one is above this. This is how our minds work. No one's ever taught us how the mind works. They know how the mind works, very much so, very well. So let's finish this off. You're almost done with this one.
People and bad people. There's protests and counter protests. The in, which is normalization. This is where habits form. Mass memory gets rewritten. So that's the trap in tool. And then we move into phase 5. And this is what it does to humans. So none of this works unless it moves people. And it always does. And it follows two things. The first thing is the thing that manipulates our animal brains. And this is called the fate model. Fate stands for focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. And what you're going to see in a PSYOP is focus narrows, authority increases, tribe hardens, and emotion overrides cognition. And then you watch the internal shifts. And we move to the 6-axis model. The 6-axis model is what controls the very specific human brain influence factors: focus, openness, connection, suggestibility, compliance, and expectancy. Those 6 things.
On the screen for a second. I need you to take a moment, take a screenshot, write that down. You need to understand this. These 6 right here, when you understand this right here, you could change your entire life. Right? We comply too much. Our expectations are not in alignment. We're highly suggestible. We've become disconnected, closed off, and distracted. Now, when you become focused, you align with your path. Openness brings the right situations, connections, and opportunities, which causes connection to others, creating your suggestibility in a way now that is in your best interest, Your compliance is now to your happiness. And you learn to set your own expectancies. So let's just finish this off. Man, this is powerful. Powerful.
So what happens on the 6-axis model if we're in the middle of a psyop? Focus is going to tighten up like crazy. Openness actually drops. Connection with other people starts eroding. Suggestibility rises through the roof. Compliance increases like crazy, and expectancy, this final one, our expectations, get managed like crazy. And once you see which axis is being pushed, behavior becomes absolutely predictable. Humans default under pressure, and we know human defaults. So pressure might be an end result goal for some country that's working against Western society. When something shows up, I want you to ask, is this solving a problem, or is it teaching people how to adapt? Those are not the same thing. I'll see you in the next one.
There it is. There it is. That's the truth right there. Right. And I don't think many people can handle that. But you know what? It's okay, because guess what we're doing now here, guys? What we're doing here is we telling the truth. We speaking truth now. This is no more of this other stuff, right? When I bring this information, it's going to be information for you to really analyze, not somebody's opinion or going into some weird book that has no credibility, right? Or we're not even aware of the author, right? We don't need that, right? We need, if your information is real, it shouldn't be circular. If your information is real, then it can really change. It should change you. It should have the ability to, you should be able to use it and demonstrate. If I teach you how to use the hammer, you could take that hammer and then go get you a nail and some wood, and you should be able to reconstruct that act and see the same results. We need results, right? So this next video I'm going to show you, this one here this is for one, not only for my brothers out there, but also for all my sisters out there. You know, people talk a lot about the dating game and talk about a lot of this other stuff that's going on in the world. And when it comes to men and women, and I find it very interesting, the advice that they give is so circular. One, two, right? It isn't advice. It's actually a venting or acknowledgement of a situation they're either going through or something that they overcame that makes them feel some way superior, right? But it's not you can't do anything with it, right? Unless you are going through something current and you similar and you feel alone, and then this creates your little echo chamber of other people that experience what you do. But when I show video from other people, though, I don't want to show them complaining about women. I don't want to show them complaining about men. I don't want to hear them giving advice that isn't really tangible. So what I wanted to share was from this one individual, this one content creator. It's very clear he deals in neurolinguistic programming, and he's kicking some game that is phenomenal. So we're going to check this video out. You're going to love this guy. I hope I ain't butchering this. It's Tijuana Jackson, or Tijuan Jackson, or Tijuan Jackson. Either way, you're going to see the thing on there. Give him a like. Tell him that Talib sent you over. The House of Strange Productions sent you over, because you're going to love this. Let's get into this. I'm just setting this up right now, and we're going to get down, and I think you're going to enjoy this. So let me set it up for you guys now, and here we go.
A woman told me she loved me. I responded, I think what you mean is you love the comfort I afford you. Her response spoke volume. She said, well, what do you mean when you say you love me? Like the idea that love meant more than comfort was absurd. My ain't been hard since. That was the moment I realized she only understood comfort. not love. And here's the part I could not dodge. As much as I've grown in business and how I communicate, as a father, as a partner, as a coach, as a man, all of that progress gets drowned out by the negative aura of poor company. If you think growth in one area excuses avoidance in another, you already lost, because the weakest pattern often sets the tone. Here's what 2025 forced me to confront. Growth does not fail loudly. It fails quiet. It fails through association. It fails through what you tolerate sitting next to you while you calling yourself disciplined. When you grow in one direction, but unconsciously keep relationships that stabilize the old version of you, you do not regress. You stall. You hover. You circle the runway and never land. I thought love was something you felt. Turns out love is something you can define. And if you cannot define it, you will accept the cheapest version.
Facts. And it's very interesting. I ask people often, sometimes too, how do they define love? And they don't define it. Usually what they do is they go into a cascade of the things that they don't like and don't want. And then it usually boils down to something very superficial and general, like understand me, walk with me, do things together. Like, these aren't definitions of love because they haven't defined them. So this is game on the highest level. So fellas, if you're listening, ladies, if you're listening, hear what he's saying, because you have to be honest with yourself in order to hear what he has to say.
Version available. The exchange I told you about was not about sex. It was not about standards. My body clocked what my mouth had been negotiating for years. Here's the uncomfortable part. The nervous system don't care how much money you make, how articulate you sound, or how many people call you wise. It only cares about safety and familiarity. Mary Ainsworth put this into perspective with attachment theory. People bond to what feels predictable, not what is healthy. Familiar dysfunction feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Translate.
Another truth bomb. This is a part of your neuroscience. You see, you believe that you can change something from a physical or a conscious level when it is something that was implanted deep in you, and it's something that's a core of your belief system, right? So you have to begin to first do the inner work. And that inner work's not going to be found in the gym or any other place. Yes, going to the gym is a wonderful thing. Going on walks and all these things is great. But when these things are being done to avoid our own inner turmoil and the truths that we don't want to face, then these things never produce the results we're looking for.
Your nervous system will choose a known hell over an unknown heaven every time. I realized something brutal. You can do the work and still.
And here's another thing, just so in your subconscious mind doesn't identify pain and pleasure the way your conscious mind do. So the definition, just before we get back into this, because I want him to kick his game and then I'm going to sort of chime in and fill in. But the definition of pain in the subconscious mind is the unknown, that which is not known. So if you want to lose weight, right, but losing weight to the subconscious is, I don't know what comes next. Well, now your conscious mind is in a battle with your subconscious mind on an idea, one that has already been empowered. See, the known in the subconscious mind are the things we're familiar with. So this is why you can stay in a horrible, miserable, terrible situation and stay in it because it's familiar. You know what to do when you broke. You know what to do when you're with a bad partner. You're familiar with being upset. You know what it's like to struggle and to suffer. These can become knowns in the subconscious, and when it does, it will sabotage your life if you don't become aware of it and take the necessary internal mental actions to begin to alter that. So let's just get back into, I just want to drop that on you.
still keep people around you who benefit from you not honoring your growth. They do not sabotage you on purpose. They just get uncomfortable when your standards stop matching their needs. That negative aura, it ain't mystical. It's behavioral gravity. It pulls you back into old rhythms without raising its voice. And here's the line that changed everything for me. If your environment requires you to shrink, explain, or self-edit your growth, it is not neutral. It is expensive. That is.
And that's something I can relate to. Being someone of my own caliber, and always from a child being a little extra in my thinking dynamic. You know, I always shrank myself in relationships. When it came to friendships, and it cost me a lot. So notice, if in your environment, if in the circle and friends and the people you deal with, that your authentic self is not accepted, if you have to change who you are, shrink who you are, reword everything you say, then it's not them that's the problem. It's you. Because you're shrinking yourself so that you can be accepted, because it's known. Keep that in mind. And another reason I'm really getting down on him, because let me tell you, I feel like he says it in a way, I think some of the people that listen, some of the people I deal with, some of the people that I communicate with, they're going to really resonate. I have a way to speaking. It's a little different, and it's just my natural way. It's just who I am. It's what I do. It's just how I communicate. But for some people, this is way more engaging and it hits harder. And I want to share this with you guys. So for some of you where this can really resonate, it's very similar to some of the things I'm saying, because people who study this neuroscience and study the mind, this is the conclusion that they've come to. So we'll get back to it.
What 2025 taught me. If nothing inside you changes, you repeat yourself. But if nothing around you changes, your growth never gets heard. Family, if you working your ass off, stressing your ass off, or planning your ass off, but it still don't seem to get you nowhere, what if I told you it had nothing to do with willpower or discipline? There's usually an emotional pattern running in the background that's quietly messing with your decisions and your follow-through. Study after study confirms emotional intelligence is a performance factor most of us was never taught to account for. And those emotional blind spots are the real reasons you remain stuck, keep coming up short. I'm hosting a 90-minute live workshop where I'll help you identify the patterns that's actually disrupting your progress, and I'll get you clear on the next steps you need to take so those emotional blind spots never cripple your potential again. You want to work with a real one, link is in the description. One of the most painful things I had to face in 2025, if you got to trash one.
Definitely check him out, but also check me out. My links is in the descriptions. I can work with you. We have powerful methods. I have powerful techniques. They work. They change lives, and nothing is a cure, right? No, nothing. None of this will work. None of it will change you if you're not ready to change, right? This isn't magic to change all. You still have the free will to not want to change. There are people I've dealt with that have used the Sedona and it works so well, they just refuse to use it. I heard this story from Hale Dwaskins, and didn't believe, and had a hard time believing that anybody would not want that. And then when I experienced it, I said, oh, I get it, right? Because it's familiar. And until you're willing to make a change, and this is why people who come to life coaches or people who go to the psychiatrist, sometimes it doesn't work when a person is forced to do something they don't want to do, right? It truly is not going to work. If a person doesn't want to quit smoking, you're not going to make them just quit smoking. Even if you are able to give them enough suggestion to not want to smoke in the moment, the more powerful suggestion of their belief system is going to take back over. And especially if it's a part of their environment. Scripted environment is crucial, and it has a great deal to do with how we get things done. This is why they tell you when you want to change and make changes to rearrange your environment, do a deep cleaning, throw things away, switch your room around, get rid of, don't do creative things in the room with the TVs, or because what are you going to do? You're going to cut that TV on, but if it's not there, right, that thought never even has the energy to get cultivated. So what he's dropping is the ultimate game. I really want to share this. I think these are the content creators we need to be sharing. This is the kind of information I feel like I want to share. The other people are sharing other things that's getting deeper into the geopolitics, that's getting more deeper into the more, let's say, sinister, maybe even occult or hidden government stuff. I respect that. And that's their lane, and that's what they want to bring. I want to bring something a little different. I don't want to do what they do, right? I respect what they do, and I know the stuff they know. But this is something I feel that we need to share, and I would like to share. And that's the type of community stuff I want to be a part of, stuff that we can actually use to change, right? Not to ignore what's happening in the world, right? But to begin to actually take some control from the place where we stand. So I'm going to get back to it.
Room to make another room look organized and presentable. You are not an organizer. You're an event planner. You do not have a consistent flow of maintenance. You just skilled in the chaotic art of presentation. Big difference. The realization embarrassed me because it described my life perfectly. I was showing people clean offices, clean frameworks, clean philosophies. Meanwhile, there was a closet in my life nobody was allowed to open. A drawer I kept shoving things into every time company came over. A mental garage full of emotional junk I kept promising myself I would get to later. Everybody got a junk drawer, but normalized trauma got us calling it storage. Most of us walking around calling ourselves disciplined are really just good at compartmentalizing. We move messes, we don't eliminate them. We shift chaos from visible to hidden and call that growth. Clinically, this is avoidance coping. Karen Honey broke this down. When anxiety feels unmanageable, people will create order in a completely different area to compensate for disorder in the areas they terrified to touch.
I paused it right there so that you could see. I realized I didn't unmute it, but I muted. I didn't say much, so I'm gonna just fill you in. I paused it right there because what he's saying is very crucial, right? There's this tendency to think that because we put a lot of focus in one area that we're organized, right? But a lot of times that hyper focus, and you can see this a lot in depressed men, right? Who may never clean up around themselves. They so focused on this one, they put all their energy into this. That's a form of depression, right? That's a form of avoidance, and it can manifest itself in different ways. You see this in some people who have what you might call OCD, right? And this urge to be in control of all the other areas because the other aspects of their life they don't feel in control of, right? And this is how it can manifest itself. So this is why I say it's going to take some real, authentic listening to actually hear what he's saying, right? Because it may trigger some people in a way that's like, that's not me. I don't know what they're talking about. I ain't never experienced that. When I hear a lot of people tell me they never did this, they never did that. And usually those are the people that have done it, right? Because there's an urge to want to protect stuff that we don't want other people to know. And the one way we do that is by trying to throw people off the scent to say, oh, I've never done that. I despise it, right? They throw extra things on top of it. So let's just get back into this.
Translation. You not organized, you selective. I was productive as hell in public and cluttered as hell in private. I could build systems, schedules, offers, hire team members, honor my calendar, but there were conversations I would not finish. Grief I would not process. Attachments I refused to clean out because they once felt familiar. I kept souvenirs of pain like they was collectible. That is how trauma hides. Not loud, not dramatic. It hides in stuff you keep telling yourself you might need one day. Old relationships, old identities, old coping mechanisms, old.
Another heavy gem right there. I hear this. I, I I mean, I hope Peach gets to watch this and hear this. I know she have her viewpoint on it, and she probably give a real great opinion to it. But this is my absolute point. You know, when that trauma is deep and it's subconscious, it becomes a story. These stories that we tell, they become like badges of honor. But what we're actually doing is keeping it in the system, in the machine of the programs that run our lives. And when we don't address that, we continuously find ourselves in those situations that keep us in that familiar pattern of behavior. And we will offset it to the people we're either dating, seeing, or experiencing. But it's never them. It's always us, because it is always the decision we make.
Excuses to work when you was younger and terrified. Mary White and Calkins talked about the self-needing coherence. When parts of your life stay unintegrated, they don't disappear. They leak, they bleed, they show up as procrastination, irritation, fatigue, self-sabotage. Translation: the mess you avoid will eventually redecorate your future without action. And here's the part that made me sit stiller than lip filler. You can't build a new version of life while hoarding an old version of yourself. At some point, organization requires grief. You gotta let some people go. You gotta throw some shit away. You cannot Marie Kondo trauma by thanking it and putting it back on the shelf. I realized my progress kept stalling, not because I lacked discipline, but because I refused to clean everything. I wanted selective order. A prosperous life don't do partial renovation. That is the standard I'm bringing into 2026 and beyond. We not moving messes around no more. We either clean it or admit we scared to touch it. You cannot event plan your way through existence. Them rooms full of junk, them extras left under the table, them items you fail to return will eventually take up so much space you won't be able to breathe. Time to stop performing organization while chaos lives rent-free in the back of your mind. 2026 and beyond is about spring clean. No room unfinished, no stone unturned. All of them. Because if you don't clean it out this year, you're going to be singing the same song in 2027. Different tempo, same lyrics, bars. Another fact, ain't no such thing as casual date. Ain't nothing casual about the risks. Venereal disease.
He is dropping too many bars. Just hear what he's saying and understand. Like, I just want to share this. And brother, if you come across this, let's get together. I love to build with you. I also do neurolinguistic programming. I also do Silva Sedona EFT and currently hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So I would love to work with you, man. I really want to bring this to our communities. I want to get this out to more people because we need to know, we need to understand, and we need somebody that can actually give us these tools. And I am that somebody to give us these tools. I'm here to give and share these tools with you, right? I'm here to actually create a tangible source of modalities with logic and reason that can assist you in understanding why it works the way it does, right? It's not hocus pocus. It's not anything magical or mystical in any sense, right? Now, if you want to internalize it and call it mystical, magical, light working, that is your right? I don't disagree with those terms, and I don't disagree with some of the philosophies that exist within those paradigms. What I am here to offer is things that can actually function and work with you and for you. So I'm going to let him finish because this is where he's cooking. This is something that I think when I'm saying about the dating, there's so much focus with these people talking about dating, going out here, getting the perfect mate and all these other things. Meanwhile, they don't have a purpose in their own life, meaning they aren't accepting their own existence yet, but yet they're trying to find it with someone else, right? And we have a tendency to do this because we're not trained or programmed, right, for self-preservation, and beyond self-preservation for self-happiness, self-satisfaction. We don't understand that, right? Because we've been trained and programmed to be workers. We've been trained and programmed to bury our trauma, to be quiet, or to lash out, right? And there are more options than that. So let's get back to it.
pregnancy, mental instability, false accusations, jealous exes. The list go on like fake lashes. Your brain's tendency to underestimate risks when the immediate reward feels good is called optimism bias. Whether it's a one-night stand or you think she might be the one, either way, you making a long-term decision using short-term thinking. Bodies remember, nervous systems attach, situations compound. Mary Ainsworth showed us this through attachment theory. Repeated intimate contact without clarity trains the nervous system to bond and detach at the same damn time.
Repeated intimate contact without clarity. Let that sink in. It trains the nervous system to bond and attach at the same time. This is why these relationships are so chaotic. Fueled with fighting and fussing. This has nothing to do with men and women not knowing how to date, but everything to do with humans not understanding their psychology.
That creates confusion, not freedom. Translation, you teaching your body to crave connection while practicing abandonment bars, and the cost shows up later. Trust issues, hypervigilance, emotional numbness you swear came out of nowhere. Oh, you didn't fall into that. You rehearsed it to perfection. Here go the part nobody likes hearing. If you don't define the interaction, the consequences will define you. Bars. If you grown enough to touch somebody, you grown enough to think past tonight. Bars again. Speaking of the one, if you out here looking for the one, please stop. When it comes to partnership, give up on hunting for the one. That's just a misleading fantasy. It sounds romantic, but it sets you up for failure. What you should be looking for is the worth. And let me be clear, every partner is gonna put you through some shit. Trigger you, mirror you, make you uncomfortable. That part is guaranteed. The only real question is whether what they bring to your life is worth the cost of admission. By worth, I mean measurable impact. I don't wanna hear she make me happy. Happiness is a mood. Moods expire. I don't want to hear she needed help. You ain't FEMA. I want to hear she makes me healthier. Mentally, physically, emotionally. Not she gaslights me and calls it communication. I want
more bars, like he said. Bars. We are entering into these situations with the intention of therapy. Not with the intention of growth. And growth doesn't just mean work. Growth is something that happens when you're in the now. Bars.
to hear she helps me honor my time and take measured risks that move us forward. Not you arguing with her via text all day, feeling drained during what should be the most productive hours of your day. I want to hear she's energizing you and respecting your space when you need to focus. Does your life run smoother with her in it, or are you constantly explaining why you tired, distracted, or behind? This is not romance. This is logistics. Secure attachment is built on consistency, not intensity. Stability will do more for intimacy than excitement ever will. Translation: butterflies is cute, but structure is what keeps the lights on. Bars. Stop chasing the one like life is a movie. Find the worth, because the wrong partner will cost you time, health, focus, and peace. And you call it love because you fear the consequences of calling it a bad investment. Fuck the one, find the worth.
You want to change your life today? Make a decision. Focus on where you want to go instead of what you're afraid of.
Really create bars. Now would be a good time to hit the like button if you like something, but if you motivated as hell, hit that.
Definitely visit his channel and leave a like for him and tell him Talib sent you. Let him know I sent you, please. You know what I mean? That's all I ask. Also, if you watch it, please, when this airs again, please hit the like button and subscribe. Leave a comment. That'd be great. Leave a comment. Leave your thoughts, right? We want to build a community here. We don't want to just complain and attack one another, but we want to offer solutions. And you can never solve a problem from a problem. You only can solve problems from solutions. So I want to offer as many solutions. I say we because I see myself in all things. And so you have to excuse me, and I will, if it is the issue with anyone here, that I will work on that and make it more personalized with my own language. But yeah, I'm just really want to re-emphasize the importance of this. And what I want to do is I just want to give you just a little layout here, right? This is the theory of your mind. This is the mind, right? And let's just say that this circle here represents your mind, okay? And here is your conscious mind, okay? And down here is your subconscious mind. And this area down here is your primitive mind, okay? Now your subconscious mind, right? This represents 12% of all of what's going on here. Just 12%. That's your will, your drive, your desires, right? Decision making, your reasoning. That's all in here. And right beneath that is something we call a critical mind, a critical area, a critical filter. And that critical filter has two areas, a conscious and subconscious. Now beneath this here is your subconscious mind. And this is important to understand. And here is your primitive mind. That's represented by your fight, flight, freeze. Now you have to understand, when you were born, this was the first senses that came about naturally, because you don't know where you are. But this area here, you see, this is where you have what we call like your pluses, right? We say some has some pluses on this side and some minuses, right? And as you experience life, you get things pushed into these two parts of your subconscious. These negative experiences, right? Like, oh, I went to swim and I sank and swallowed some water and it was terrible. I don't like swimming, right? Versus, oh, I love chocolate cake, right? And then it's in the middle of things you're indifferent of, like you don't really care, right? You don't have a real opinion about that, right? Now, all your experiences, negative, positive, and think about these experiences, authority figure you have telling you things, right? It's all going in here, right? Now, this critical area, this is from 0 to 8. You don't have this. You don't have a critical mind. You don't have that, right? That's not there until you're 8 years old, right? And what does that critical mind do? It protects all this, the things we know are known, right? What life is, our personality, all these things that our belief systems that make us who we are. That's all protected. How we view the world is through this lens here, right? It's protecting it. Okay. Now, when you understand that, then you could begin to get a little sense of, oh, okay. Now, how do we affect this? How do we change this? This is what some of the stuff he's not telling you what to do as of yet. He's giving you a good setup and some good information that's going to help you with the logic and reasoning to accept what he's saying, right? Okay. So this area here, this area, right? The modern memory area, right? And we have our critical mind, and it's separated by the subconscious and the critical and the conscious critical mind. And you're going to find that, okay, this is what makes it all interesting. Now, once you've developed this critical mind, it's going to protect things to get in there, right? It just won't come in. So now let's say I want to change my life. Right? I want to do something that I got a lot of, let's just say, anxiety, right? And that came from when I was younger, right? I had this experience and, and so I ran in the room and that's how I escaped that anxiety, right? And that's what became familiar. So the positive part of it was, the negative was the anxiety and how you felt about people judging you. The positive was your reaction to it and how you got out of it. And that became a familiar association, right? Now up in here, you go, okay, I want to change this, right? Remember what the critical mind does, the conscious mind here, excuse me, right? I want to change this, right? So now you got to bypass this critical mind. What's it going to say? Why would I? You want to be calm? No, we don't want to just be calm. Why? Well, because when we're calm, these people make fun of us, and it's terrible, and I don't like how it feels. So now every time you try to do it, these feelings come up. And now this critical mind, when you go to put that new thought in there, here's the kicker. Okay, it's going to sit in that conscious part of the brain for about an hour and a half. But then it's going to go down to the subconscious critical mind area. It's going to sit there until you either enter hypnosis or you go to sleep. So it sits in there generally between 16 and 24 hours before this ideal goes into the subconscious mind, and actually it sits there. Now, once it gets in there after all this time, what happens? It becomes diluted and weak, and it doesn't have enough juice. It doesn't have any power to actually influence what's already there. So the key to changing ourselves from the subconscious is getting that ideal in quickly. Faster we can get the ideal into this area, and the more potent we can make it, the quicker it sticks. And if that sounds like something that makes sense to you, I'm telling you, this is how I work with you. Your 12% you're going to work with, and I'm going to work with the 88%. And together we're going to create 100% change. Right? So my link's in the description. Reach out to me. We're going to get this going for you, and we can change some lives today, tomorrow, the days after. Lives are changing right now. So look, I just wanted to share a little bit of the critical mind with you, just give you a little understanding. We'll break more of that down. I'll have some more slides to give you and share with you so you can get even deeper knowledge and understanding of what's going on in your own head. But just take that in. Your conscious mind makes up 12%. That's your will, your drive, your reasoning, your decision making. That's all up in there, right? 12%. 88% of the mind is your subconscious mind. Within that is the primitive mind, fight or flight. Okay? That's just a little taste to understand what's the model like on the inside. All right, so we're gonna go back to this video real fast, get this going again, and then we're gonna call it a night. And we're gonna come back tomorrow, because I'm gonna get on here every day. Also tomorrow I'm gonna be on my other channel. Welcome to There's Only Now. You can come check out there, where we will be talking about these very things, but in a more I don't want to say deeper, but just that's a different hat I wear over there. And I'm going to address some things, give some exercises, and you can even reach in if you have an issue that you might want to work on. We can, nothing, I won't say too big or anything like that, but I will say I will have that up tomorrow for you to come in, and if there's something we can work on together, if it's a good fit, we'll work on it. I think we'll leave it at that. And I'm looking at the realization of the rest of this video, and I'm going, okay, let's get into this. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and play some more of this video, and then we'll be back. And then we're going to wrap out for the night.
That notification bell, and if you invested in seeing my channel grow, I'm gonna need you to share this with your folks. Boss, this is specifically for black folk. Most headlines is written with agendas, not accuracy. You've probably seen the memes, black men are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. That sounds empowering. It sounds like progress. It sounds like we finally catching up. It is also misleading as hell. The actual data shows unemployment in the United States has consistently been higher for black men than any other group. In fact, black unemployment has hovered at roughly double the rate of white unemployment for decades, even in strong economies. Translation: when jobs disappear, folks start calling survival entrepreneurship. In my opinion, this fastest growing entrepreneur rhetoric is setting another debt trap. Not because entrepreneurship is bad, but because it's being sold as a shortcut out of systemic pressure instead of what it really is. This is how the status trap works. You confuse ownership with autonomy. You confuse being busy with being free. You confuse your business loan with business funding. I know I should stop there, but I can't resist this one. You confuse the meme with being matter of fact. Entrepreneurship can be expensive, risky, time-consuming, and brutal to learn if you don't have the financial cushion to cover you under fire. Everybody loves freedom until they meet the overhead bill. Entrepreneurship is not a flex. It's a responsibility. A poorly structured business does not give you freedom. It gives you a longer job, more hours, more stress, and often no health coverage. You your own boss, but the only one getting promoted is your anxiety. Boss, I'm not saying do not build. I'm saying stop letting identity politics do the thinking for you. If you do not connect deeper meaning and purpose to your entrepreneurial pursuits, you will burn out chasing validation instead of building value. Boss, and here's the quiet part. A lot of people ain't entrepreneurs. They unemployed with branding. That is not a diss, that is a warning. Build because you have a problem you are called to solve. That's what I teach. You want to work with a real one, link is in the description. Build because your work aligns with your value system, your lifestyle, and your long-term health. Not because a headline made struggle sound like a badge of honor. Freedom is not declared, it is engineered. Bars! I ever tell y'all this story? I once saw this organizer on an episode of Oprah. So I called her and said, hey, I need you to come to my house. She came through, she was cool, calm, observant, and then she said, let's do a walkthrough. And dog, she meant a full walkthrough. Every cabinet, every drawer, every bathroom, every closet, behind the toilet, everything. She even seen my fleshlight. Still had some pubics on it and a little bit of oil. I was embarrassed. She opens the drawer and goes, She said, who did all this? I said, did all what? She said, who maintains your house? I said, me. She said, can I talk to you in the living room? So we go downstairs, I sit down. She looks around and said, where's the clutter? I'm confused. I said, in the house. She said, no, there's no clutter in your house. Where's the clutter? Then she points to her head and said, might your clutter be here? That really hit me. The clutter wasn't physical. It was mental. All these unrealistic standards, all these inherited rules, all these ideas about how my life was supposed to look as opposed to what it actually was at the time. I wasn't failing at organization. I was failing at perfection. Nothing stresses a grown man out like unrealistic expectations. My life wasn't a mess. I felt cluttered because my idea of flawless was clashing with my reality. Clinically, that's perfectionism-driven anxiety. Translation, you're not tired. You living under an unrealistic deadline that keeps changing like a Temu sale. Mary White and Calkins talked about the self-needing coherence. When your internal expectations don't match your lived reality, you don't feel motivated. You feel defective. That's how mental clutter works. It don't make noise. It just sits there judging you. I was organized, disciplined, and structured when it came to my living space. Mentally, emotionally, I was carrying expectations that would cripple Tim Ferriss. I was letting outdated ideologies squat rent-free in my head. And here's the part that stung. Most of that mental pressure was self-imposed. A lot of our angst ain't coming from life. It's coming from how we think life's supposed to look. We not overwhelmed, we overzealous, we overcompensate. I was letting other people's scrutiny set the standard for my personal happiness. That organizer didn't rearrange my furniture. She rearranged my perspective and let a ninja rearrange them guts too. I had a beautiful living space that I had never stopped to appreciate because the broken boy in me was too busy chasing validation and perfection. Bars. Dog, if you want to get out your own way, gain some emotional intelligence, take my 90-minute live workshop. Link is in the description. Now, here's one of the biggest traps of the Western world. Most people don't fail at success. They fail at purpose and keep wondering why success ain't showing up. They out there stacking degrees, stacking credentials, stacking titles, stacking status symbols and social points. And all they really do is lock you into a loop of debt, pressure, and economic enslavement you too educated to admit you stuck in.
Just so powerful. A lot of what he's about to say and what he's saying, well, a lot of what he's saying even right now has a lot to do with the fact that we don't live in a permission-based society the way we used to before. And with that understanding comes the understanding that we live in an information-based society and that people can actually come together. You have a skill, I have a skill, we can team up and we can split that money ourselves. And I agree in everything he's saying about us with entrepreneurship. This is 100%. There's a percent true. There's a decorative veil over the so-called Black Americans, the original indigenous aboriginals, where there's this false presentation that we're equal and we've come up and everybody's fair now. It's all fair, but this is far from the truth. And when you begin to take these psychological controls and get a perspective of your purpose and align your life with your purpose and what you truly desire to do and to be and to have, when you line yourself up right with that, you're going to get the money, you're going to get the relationships, you're going to get the friends, you're going to get all of where you want to go is already occupied. It's just not occupied with any of the people that are currently around you.
Nothing like being highly credentialed and still asking your boss for permission to take a shit. You chase success long enough and it turns into a moving target that keeps you tired but never fulfilled. Here go the line it cost me years to understand. Don't seek success, seek purpose and let success find you. Boss. Success is not a destination, it's a side effect. When you align with purpose, your decisions get clearer, your energy gets cleaner, your values become your currency. When you chase success without purpose, every win still feels hollow. You ever notice how the most miserable people always got impressive bios? Purpose gives success somewhere to land. Without it, success just sits on you like weight. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. We apply the same broken logic to love. We seek love the way we seek success. By optics, by status, by proximity, by convenience. And then we wonder why relationships feel empty, chaotic, or draining. So let me say this clean. Don't seek love. Seek purpose and let love find you. Bars. Love is not found through hunger. It's found through alignment. When you are walking paths of purpose, you start meeting people who are sacrificing something to be where they is. Time, money, comfort. That's the filter. You don't meet aligned people at random locations hoping for magic. Not the club, not the grocery store, not the gas station, because there's no way to confirm anything about a stranger who just happened to be thirsty next to you. You meet aligned people at conventions, workshops, retreats, community functions, etc. Spaces that require a real sacrifice to enter. Access costs something. That's how you know it's not bullshit. People on paths of purpose self-select through commitment. They show up where it hurts a little to be present. No, I'm not talking about the strip club. Purpose.
Most AI plugins do all the work for you. This one works with you. Meet Co-Producer, a plugin that finds samples.
Doesn't promise comfort, it promises clarity. And clarity attracts the right kind of success, the right kind of love, the right kind of people. Stop chasing outcomes. Start committing to purpose. Because
okay, I just realized that nobody can hear me, but that's okay. Listen here. I just wanted to share that. It was coming up on the end, but he definitely conveyed that which I wanted to convey and share with you on the video. And please check out his channel. He's an amazing life coach. It seems as if he does a lot of NLP. But if you're listening, bro, please hit me up. Love to get in contact with you. Love to talk to you. Love for us to get together and just do a little, maybe a podcast together, share some of our philosophies together, and maybe we can get something going on that front. But for everybody else out there, please go ahead and links in the bio. Check out Beyond the Veil Shatterpoint. It's my magnum opus to sci-fi. I'm not one of these people who are going to complain about what Hollywood is doing with the films and the movies. I just wrote something. I have a movie. It's a trilogy. It's sci-fi. My stuff is based on some personal experiences, right? And a lot of the information that's been around. But the way it's put together in such an amazing way, I think you're going to dig it. Before you read the book, if you don't want to just go ahead and go buy the book right up, please buy the book. But hit me up. I'll get you a copy of the prequel so you can understand a little bit more. I believe that'll suck you in. And then, yeah. And our goal here is I'm going to end up making this movie, even though I have to do it myself. This movie is going to get made. It's going to get done. Right. But we're going to continue. I'm going to continue to share information, right, that I think is helpful and things that I seem to care about, right, and I find interesting. I might also do some movie reviews on here too, because I got all of that coming. I did speak on some of the stuff with some of these films, and especially with these TV shows, Stranger or Dumber Things, Stranger Things season 5. I spoke to some people that I know, and it looks like some of the stuff I was talking about is true. These guys didn't know what they were doing. This is another one of these 3-letter agency shills that was supposed to put out some information. They got chosen. They know what they was doing. And then when they was left to their own devices, this is what we get, because they're moving on, right? Because psyops don't happen in there, right? If you want to know if the story is a psyop, just see where it concludes. If it just disappears out of the headline, you never hear anything again, it was a psyop. TV shows are the same way. But hey, thank you for joining me. We'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. Let's get in here. We're going to have some more fun. I'm going to drop some more jewels. We'll put up some more stuff. Hey, if there's more people in here and you want to come join me, you want to talk to me, I'm going to open it up for you to come up and speak, and we can have a little bit of conversation, talk about some of the things. But I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one, and have a great